on our way back onto the Camino through Pamplona. It's just before 7:45 in the morning. Not quite as early as we've been thinking it might be, but quite early. So we've got 15 miles ahead of us, heading to Puente la Reina. Puente la Reina? And there's quite a big hill on the way. So we're keen to get that done before it gets too hot. He's getting kicked off the bomb every time he takes a step. It's the park of the Ciutadella. We're still following our shiny silver discs on the outskirts of Pamplona now. I guess that hill ahead is the one we'll be climbing. People are so good about the Camino. We just crossed over a street there and we went about 2 yards beyond a zebra crossing, and a taxi driver stopped, beeped and pointed us back because we were meant to go over the crossing. We'd gone 2 yards and immediately somebody was there to say, hey, you know, you're off course. They're so nice and so on the ball with it. It's really surprising. Notice board telling us what we've got in store today. So we go from Pamplona, which is over here, and then Tito Menor up to Zarequigui, and then there's the point of Santa Maria de Reniga, El Perdon, and then we start coming down into Puente la Reina, and some pictures of what we'll see along the way. We're looking forward to seeing these figures at the top. So it's 19 kilometers, not too bad. Whether we can see much of Pamplona behind us. Not really anymore. So we're heading up to, I think, that little village, Cedar Menor. Nice to look over to the mountains. My app tells me that San Juanista, the church ahead, is of the Order of Malta. We're just coming out of Cedar Menor, which is a lovely little village. A little way back, a young lady passed us. Obviously a local, she wasn't carrying a bag or anything. Really pretty girl. And said Buen Camino, which you don't quite expect from people who aren't doing it. She just obviously thought it was a nice thing to say. There's quite a big hill. We've got new tiles. That's not a very good one to show you because that one was cracked. Let's go on to the next. Here we go, this is a prime example of the new tiles. We have peregrinos, at least one. They're all sunflowers. I do love these purple flowers. See them here? I have been looking forward to little villages with churches like that on little hills and big piles of hay like that. Of course, it's not as though we don't have hay in England, but we don't really pile it up quite like that. We normally, I suppose, wrap it, and sometimes you see piles of it. There was a farm quite recently which had, last year, they'd made it into the shape of a teddy bear, but there were round bales of hay. There's something quite nice about a big brick of it like that, a building of hay. There are lots of berries on the sides of the path. Blackberries, hips. And every so often it opens out. Puente la Reina, 14.6 kilometers. I was just reading in the app that there's an information point here, and I thought, I wonder what that is, because there's nothing around really. And it was cereal fields. It says that the change in landscape around here is quite dramatic because it gives out onto cereal fields, which, yes, you can see. And it says that slowly we'll see that change to include olive and grape fields, vineyards obviously, olive groves. So that's going to be interesting to see. So we just passed through that little village where there was the church of St. Andreas, and there was a little shop, and a lot of the pilgrims that we've got to know, in passing at least, were gathering around to get snacks. We're approaching the part of the hill which is on the ridge, where I know there are some statues. I pointed them out on the notice board earlier on, and I think if you look at the last of the windmills, they're just to the side of it. You can see them sticking up to the right of the little tower thing. Every so often I try to think about what it is I think about when I'm walking, and it's actually a hard thing to pin down. I think sometimes I'm thinking about where we're going, what's coming up. Sometimes I'm imagining the map, I'm thinking about the elevation. I'm thinking a slight sense of satisfaction at having done it, maybe having been a bit tentative about it. Thinking about the people that we've seen as we've gone past, familiar faces, sitting and having coffee. Thinking about where we'll stop for coffee, if indeed we will, or whether we'll just stop for cheese and sausage and bread. And there is a sort of competitiveness, I suppose, in thinking, well, if we stop for cheese and bread and sausage, we'll have to make up time, which is silly, really. But I think part of me wants to know that I can get out and get a really good start and not be slow. And I think that's not really so much that I'm competitive as it is I just want to know I can do it as well as other people can. I clearly can. And then sometimes I'm looking around at the view and just thinking, I'm actually here. And just now I got my phone out, I was thinking, what are those mountains? So I was looking at which direction they're in. They're in the north, and they're separating us off from the Basque Country, but they actually curve around slightly to the northern coast of Spain, rather than just where France is. And then, I suppose I occasionally think about the stones under my feet. I think about my shoes. There they are. And how long it took me to choose those. I've got the 2 blisters bandaged up today. They're not bad, I just don't want them getting worse. Andrew was asking me earlier whether I'm feeling it in my legs. He's a bit more stiff today than he has been on other days. But I think it's strange, really. I feel just nice sort of little twinges, if anything, just when you're exercising and it's, you know, your body's working, and that's good. And I think that's all, really. When I feel a bit tired, or if I do get a bit too much of a twinge, I stop and have some water, which has got my electrolytes in, and that seems to really work wonders. Sometimes I think about my physiotherapist and how grateful I am to him for telling me to get the electrolyte tablets. So many of the electrolyte things, like gels and so on, have artificial sweeteners and colours in, and I'd find it a bit weird to be out here in nature drinking artificial sweetener, which sometimes gives me a headache. I don't really like it. I'd rather be putting natural things into myself. So the ones I've got, the new ones, are all natural, and they seem to just be brilliant. They taste nice too. And I've been thinking that it's nice to just know that we've got cheese and sausage and bread with us. We've got enough fluids. We don't need to stop for anything except to eat them. I think about the vegetation around us and the sounds, little crickets and things I don't know the name of, things I do. These trees, been passing these quite a bit. I don't know what these are. They look like young sycamore, actually. I haven't seen them with the seed. Maybe it's not that type. I haven't seen them with the seeds on before. There's a tree like that that I've been passing. Obviously not that one. I'm thinking about bikes when they pass. Hola. And we are nearing those statues. I wonder whether there'll be anyone there when we get there. Whether we'll sit. I'm sure we will sit. I know Andrew will pose when we get there. Occasionally I think about how on earth I'm going to adjust from this when I'm at home. What we'll do next. I think about how the pandemic seems a million miles away when we're out here, and yet we are doing a walk like this in the middle of it, which is an unusual thing apparently for people in the UK to be doing. Think about the weather. I mean, it's now just gone 25 past 10 and it's cloudy, but I expect that might change as we get into the afternoon. What else? Very boring thoughts, aren't they? As a writer, how do you turn that into anything remotely interesting other than the background and the context? The sound of the feet. The fact of a pylon. But it means more than I can put into words. It's definitely the statues with the spears. Other things I think about. Birds when we see them. There was a very large bird circling overhead. Think about family, of course. I know I've got messages to read. I think that goes hand in hand with thinking of home in a way, but thinking about... It's difficult because thinking about the situation there, but also thinking about how everyone's getting on. Get updates, which are nice to have. But I also think, you know, it's all very well for me swanning around in Spain. Not that I feel like a swan. Somebody's cycling down. I don't know whether I've ever been so close up to one of these. There's a little gnome sitting up there making it work. I think about Andrew striding forward. He's very excited to be at the statues, and I know he's going to pose. Here we are. Energía hidroeléctrica de Navarra, donde se cruza el camino de viento. Wind, estrellas, the wind and the stars. Okay. Perdon. And wow, look over that way. Panoramic view of the north. Which you can sort of see like that. So here's the information about the monument to the Pilgrim's Way to Compostela. And after the wind farm entered service here in 1996, the Navarrese sculptor Vicente Galbete was commissioned to create a set of sculptures dedicated to the Pilgrim's Way to Compostela. It's called Where the Route of the Wind Crosses That of the Stars. It represents the evolution of the Pilgrim's Way throughout history in the form of a procession of pilgrims from different eras. It consists of 14 natural-sized iron figures that make the journey on foot, on horseback, or riding donkeys. There we go, different periods. Yeah, you can see the different headwear. I was just reading about this, and it looks as though it's an old stone circle, but is in fact a memory to the victims under Francoism, and is in order to preserve particular values of social justice and freedom. Stea ibero Naragan Lodosa Lunta Pamplona Erunya. There's a stone for each place. We won't forget. We won't forget you. Just saying, there's a strong atmosphere here. There's something about coming over the ridge, but I'm also thinking about the sort of structures we build. We build statues for pilgrims, a stone circle, which obviously has resonance across the ages. We build little rocks like this on the Camino sign, things to not forget people, things to function, to create energy, things to inspire.
Seemed deserted. There's just a statue of Eunate. Okay.
Loose rocks downhill. A little bit reminiscent of coming down from Cadaridris, except much drier. And with that view in front of us. Crops. Very yellow fields. Oh, now bikes to the right, humans to the left. Okay. Yeah, I name these steps the fun steps. They're good fun. Well, the app said that the surrounding terrain would change from fields to olive groves and vineyards. And I suspect when we get a little lower down, we'll see more arable fields again. But I hadn't expected to see the olive groves so soon. Olive trees all around. We're still only up to 11:05. And I think the sun's starting to get a little stronger now, but it's quite cool. See quite a lot of this. Believe. Feels different again because the soil is slightly more brown, slightly orangey, redder. The soil makes me want to metal detect. Not that I probably could in Spain. I don't know the laws on metal detecting in Spain. But it looks like good soil for metal detecting. Not like where we live, where it's acidic and wet and full of all sorts of rubbish that's been chucked on it since Victorian times. Look at that view. The motorway behind us, and that's where we've come from. Right up on the hill. There's a dust devil that keeps happening just ahead of Andrew. Will it do it again while he's in it? He's approaching the spot. Maybe it'll do it while I'm in it. It was around here. Oh well. Oh, it was a bit of a breeze. Sunflowers again. I see a town, or at least a village.
That may not have coffee.
I think you probably will have coffee if you want coffee. Let's see. It is the town of... I have to zoom in at just the right amount to see the name of it. Uterga. Uterga. There's a statue of the Virgin Mary back there. And there's a story that a man on a pilgrimage sat down there very frustrated, and a young 6-year-old girl came and he asked her many questions, and her name was Maria. It was one of the questions he asked, and he found faith and was able to continue on his way after talking to that girl, and since then every year they gather at that spot. Hey pilgrim. Albergue Restaurante Camino del Perdon. So we're at the Albergue de Perdon, I think, and we've had coffee, we've bought a banana, we're eating the leftover cheese, walnuts and raisins, sultanas rather, from the Cafe Arunia last night, with some bread. A lot of people have gathered here. So 7 kilometres, how long do you think that will take?
An hour and a half. A bit more than...
Yeah, it'll be about an hour and a half. It'll be probably partly downhill, maybe slightly flat.
Yeah, which is good actually. It's 10 past 12, so 20 to 2. That would actually be a good... When you think of how long it took us to get to Roncesvalles, that's a good day. I mean, we left later.
Thanks, Pablo. There's a man with a baby there, and as we walk past, the baby's crying. He said to me, "Llévatelo," which amused me.
Could have given him that last bit, actually.
La Flecha. A little passage through the trees.
I don't like wearing this.
They look like poplar. Yep, poplar trees. The sound of the trees. Little birds. All of these sunflowers. Look at them all. They're hanging their heads. They look sad. I'm just walking along going, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Look at where we are. It's just beautiful. Just thinking that because we're doing this toward the end of August, we know it's not likely to get hotter and hotter and hotter, although in some ways it might because of the terrain we're going into. But in general, we're heading more towards winter. Whereas had we been doing it in May, we'd have been walking these sections in the heat, knowing that the temperature was going to get hotter the further we went into summer. It's a nice time of year to be doing it, I think. All the bevies along the side of the way. Different types. Red bevies. I don't know what a lot of them are. Get little sort of openings like this. So some are definitely hawthorn, some are slow. Obviously we pass blackberries. I don't know what the little black ones are. It's sort of, there's a large drop on the right side, and there's this windbreak really of trees. We've got a very red coloured ploughed field over on the left. But over on the right, it drops right down. And the very green crops growing down there, looks like corn or something. And olive trees. And behind us is the hill that we've come from. It's a long way back now. And we're just approaching another little town. But this is a lovely little path. It just sort of meanders. I'll show you where we've come from. There's that hill in the distance. The part that's behind the trees there now. It's our first vineyard. It's only a little one. Although maybe it goes a long way down. That's it. There were sort of growth things in the tree. If we were in the UK, I'd presume there were witch's broom or something. Yeah. But, you know, parasitic. But they don't look as though they are. It looks like it's a different plant though. So, interesting. Over here on the left, we have sleeping witches. They're thrusting their giant hands up through the earth. Some very large birds overhead. One in particular was vast, and it's now, well, huge, I suppose is a better word. Vast bird. Sounds as though it's the size of a mountain range. I think because we wanted to see a golden eagle when we were in Scotland, we're still sort of thinking, oh, it'd be nice to see one, but that's why. I'd be happy if it's a vulture, or anything. And actually, the way they were going up on thermals, the second one certainly was. The first one seemed to be larger, I thought. But yeah, I don't know. We'll find out later. We're now in the village of Muruzábel, and I'm standing in front of a signpost, so I'll show you what it says. So it's talking about the church of Santa Maria, and it says, in the Via de Muruzábel. And it's one of the finest jewels of Romanesque art along the Camino de Santiago. You can reach the church. Yeah, it's a 1.5 kilometer detour. We've decided not to do that. We wish you a buen camino. So, very dismissive of that church, wasn't I? We decided we're not going. I looked into it a bit more, and it is one that we wanted to see. It's the octagonal one, I think it's octagonal. So there's a slight detour, it's about 1.7 kilometres more. But it brings us out further down the road anyway. So we don't want to not see it. I mean, we're only here once. Not sure what type of tree that is. They look like plums, but maybe they're walnuts or something. Fantastic looking building. Eunate. That's the name of the church. Santa Maria de Eunate. So we're in luck because it's Wednesday, so they're open until 2 o'clock.
Is this doing a loop?
Yes, yeah, it sort of goes around. Instead of just following a straight road, it does a loop, and the furthest point of the loop is the church.
Because it's quite a long way, it's nearly as far as we've got again, I think.
Yeah, but it's about a kilometre anyway.
Right.
So maybe a little less, but thereabouts. These berries. These. Been thinking about the church we're going to, and when we saw the BBC documentary, which was the one I saw when I was in the gym and they had the subtitles on, and it was when I first found out about the Camino de Santiago, and it was the group with Ed Byrne and Heather Small from M People, and Neil Morrissey was in it as well, and Debbie McGee, and they did this detour to this church, and I hadn't realised when we first saw the sign that it was this one, but it was one that I wanted to go to because in my mind I'd already had it as being one of the key things we'd see on the Camino. But I remember a lot of them went in and Heather Small didn't, because she didn't feel that it represented her, which I understand. I'm not sure how I feel about churches myself, really. Interesting in terms of the history though. And I think they tend to have an atmosphere about them which I can understand some people not liking and other people liking. So it'll be interesting to see it. Also, when I've been thinking about the clothes to bring, I was really concerned I wouldn't be allowed in this church if I had shorts on or my shoulders on show. So I thought I would need a scarf or a shirt or something. And in the end I was so worried about the weight of my backpack that I didn't bring any. So fingers crossed I'll be allowed in. I don't know what this crop is. Very big bird up there, flapping. We just came down that path and we're following these signs. An information board. Yeah, it explains that it's octagonal. So in brief, it says that it was constructed in the 12th century. They're not clear about the origins. Some theories put it down to the military order of the Temple of Jerusalem, others to the relation between the Knights Hospitallers, basically, of San Juan of Jerusalem, or Santa Maria of Eunate and the Queen founder. Hola.
Venga, hola.
Look at the stones. It talks about things to see inside the capitals. There's a tall vault supported by strong ribs pronounced at each of the octagon's vertices. There's an image of the Virgin. Marks on the stone we read about earlier. Talking about the northern gate, it says the gate consists of 4 archy vaults that rest on smooth jambs and columns, all crowned by a dust cover decorated with human figures, which we've just seen, as well as imagined monsters. The church has another simpler entrance rather, oriented west. Muchas gracias.
Pues vale, muchas gracias. Hasta la próxima.
Vamos, Dios.
Bueno, que hace caloraco. Venga, ahora nos vamos a buscar.
La vuelta, ahora la vuelta.
No, sí, ahora hay que ir a Ova, no hay que volver atrás.
Vale, vale, perfecto. Ahora es saliendo aquí el camino a la izquierda.
Sí.
The cup without the kale gier.
There's a very large butterfly that's just gone in there. There's a little yellow one. The funny thing is, walking along here, that hill in the distance, where you can see perhaps the pylon, that's where the statues were, and that was our halfway point. And since then, we've come to here. Well, whatever that crop is, it needs water. A lot of it. It's refreshing actually, you can feel it in the air, and some of it comes our way when we go past. That is what I call a pumpkin, the size of it. I do like these little vegetable patches that we keep passing. Got to climb up into the next town, and then the next one is Puente la Reina. So that's the village of Obanos, and it's now 2:45. We've dilly-dallied, stopping off at places. Interesting to see a lot of birds overhead. Also the sun is overhead, and we're very aware of that. It's nice to walk in the shade. We'll be glad to get to Puente la Reina now, which is the next village over, so not too far. That's where we came from. It's nice out here. One of the peregrinas I should say, does yoga. We've seen her in a few places. cat knows the best place to be, in the shade by the water. Andrew's got new sunglasses. There's information here about a woman from the village called Alba who went to South America, to Nicaragua initially, and worked as a doctor, and then went on to work in El Salvador, and she's most famous for, well, their most famous quote, at least, quotation is, "I can't say this land is not my land, this fight is not my fight. How is it not going to be my fight? The fight has no frontiers. Wherever there is injustice, it must be fought." And then she was captured, ambushed, tortured and executed. And so they've, I believe, put a plaque somewhere in the village. But there's also, I mean, this is just by the new bridge, some way after the other. There's a graffiti for her there. I thought it must be this, I think it is. Which is actually under one of the arches of the new bridge. The river is the River Arga, and we're walking over the new bridge just to get the view of the old bridge. Fantastic bridge. It's the bridge after which the town is named, Puente la Reina. And the Queen actually had the bridge made specifically for pilgrims to get to Compostela. Sound of the running water there. Yes, we're about to go and get something to eat. I'm not sure what the trees are. I thought it might have been a plane tree, but I've never seen anything like that growing on a plane tree, so presumably it's not. Apparently the asparagus of Navarra is very highly thought of.
It's absolutely beautiful.
I'm not surprised. It's a little artisan place. They sell a lot of local produce. And now we have a tomato and mozzarella salad. So here we have pate, which we've got two options. We can have, the Spanish is un pecadillo agridulce, agridulce I should say, which is German pickle. Or we can have it with chocolate. I've never heard of this before. So we're looking forward to trying this. Everything so far has been absolutely delicious. So this might be strange, but pate with little bits of chocolate really, really works.
Sí, porque claro, como tiene que estar conmigo.
I really like our albergue, the Jacque, and it seems a lot of people are staying there, but I have to put in a complaint. They have a tree house, and they didn't tell me. I want the tree house. It is a really nice place. This is where we'd go in to get to our room. They're down there. But there's a nice garden area up here.
What's the number of that room?
I'm not sure. I think it might be 404.
410.
410.
Shut up.
Yes, it's all shut up. Oh no.